I always love camping. The idea of disconnecting from the hustle and bustle of city life and immersing myself in nature was incredibly appealing. My friends and I had planned this camping trip for weeks, choosing a secluded spot deep in the wilderness. We wanted a place far from any city lights where we could stargaze and truly relax. We arrived at our campsite in the late afternoon. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm, golden glow over the forest. We set up our tents, gathered firewood, and prepared for a night under the stars. As darkness fell, we lit a campfire and settled in, sharing stories and roasting marshmallows. The night sky was breathtaking. Without the interference of city lights, the stars were incredibly bright and numerous. We spotted several constellations and even a few shooting stars. It was a perfect night. Around midnight, we decided to call it a night. The fire had died down, and the forest was eerily quiet. As I lay in my tent, I found it hard to sleep. The stillness of the forest was unsettling. I could hear every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig. My mind began to wander, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't alone. Suddenly, a bright light pierced through the thin fabric of my tent. It was so intense that I had to shield my eyes. I thought it might be a helicopter or some kind of aircraft, but the light was completely silent. It moved slowly across the sky, casting an unnatural glow over the entire campsite. I unzipped my tent and stepped outside, squinting against the brightness. My friends were already outside, staring up at the sky in disbelief. The light was coming from a massive, disc-shaped object hovering above the trees. It was unlike anything I had ever seen. There were no visible engines, no sound, just a silent, hovering craft. We were frozen in place, unable to comprehend what we were seeing. Then, without warning, a beam of light shot down from the craft, enveloping us in its glow. I felt an intense pressure, like being pulled upwards by an invisible force. My vision blurred, and I felt my feet leave the ground. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. The next thing I remember, I was lying on a cold, metallic surface. The air was filled with a low humming sound, and the room was bathed in a soft blue light. My friends were there too, lying on similar surfaces. We were all paralyzed, unable to move or speak. Figures appeared around us, tall, slender beings with large, almond-shaped eyes and gray skin. They moved with an eerie grace, their long fingers hovering over us, examining us. I felt a strange sensation, like they were probing my mind, sifting through my memories. It was invasive and terrifying. Hours seemed to pass, or perhaps it was only minutes. Time had lost all meaning. The beings communicated with each other in a language I couldn't understand, a series of clicks and hums. Finally, one of them approached me, holding a small, metallic device. I felt a sharp pain in my neck, and everything went black. I woke up in my tent, drenched in sweat. The sun was rising, casting a pale light over the campsite. I stumbled out of my tent, disoriented and shaken. My friends were already up, their faces pale and drawn. We didn't need to speak to know that we had all experienced the same thing. We packed up our gear in silence and left the campsite as quickly as we could. The drive back to the city was a blur. None of us spoke about what had happened, as if talking about it would make it more real. Over the next few days, strange things began to happen. We all experienced vivid nightmares and felt an uncheckable sense of being watched. I developed a strange mark on my neck, exactly where I had felt the pain. It was a small circular scar that glowed faintly in the dark. We tried to go back to our normal lives, but the experience had changed us. We couldn't forget the feeling of helplessness, the invasive probing of our minds. We did some research and found that many others had reported similar experiences, strange lights in the sky, unexplained marks, and vivid memories of alien beings. To this day, I can't look at the night sky without feeling a sense of dread. The stars, once a source of wonder and beauty, now fill me with fear. I know that we are not alone, and I fear that one day they will come back for us. Have you ever seen something in the sky you couldn't explain? Share your UFO stories in the comments below.